When Merlin wielded his magic, he shaped destinies and legends that echoed through the ages. But who was Merlin? What were the sources of his enigmatic powers? And how did his magic influence the fabled story of King Arthur? In this video, we're going to delve into the mystical world of Merlin. Welcome to the mysteries of mythology. Merlin. The written records of Merlin's legend first appeared in the works of Geoffrey of Monmouth. This 12th century scholar, initially an unknown cleric, would emerge as the key figure in shaping Merlin's enduring legacy. In his youth, Geoffrey was surrounded by the rich folklore of Wales, filled with stories of heroes, monsters, and gods. His love for these narratives was matched by a deep interest in history, a passion that drew him to the church's vast collection of books. Here, Geoffrey transformed into a master storyteller, blending historical facts with magical elements in his narratives. Geoffrey was enthralled by tales of Merlin, a Welsh seer. This fascination led to his groundbreaking work in which he translated Merlin's prophecies from ancient Welsh into Latin, making them accessible to the educated and influential of his time. Latin was the scholarly language of choice, crucial for reaching a wide readership. When Geoffrey translated the name Merlin into Latin, he changed it to Merlinus, which we know as Merlin. This was a smart choice. If he had translated the name directly to Merlin, it would have sounded like the Latin word for excrement, which is not a good name for a hero. It would have made Merlin sound like a joke, something like the shitty one. Geoffrey's first book, Prophetiae Merlini, or The Prophecies of Merlin, transcended the realm of literature. It was perceived as a real book of foresight, similar in stature to the later works of Nostradamus. The influence of his storytelling was so profound that these prophecies were even used in political maneuvers. For example, Edward I's advisors consulted Merlin's prophecies to support his claim to the Scottish throne. These prophecies in his book were vague and could be interpreted in whatever way people wanted to interpret them. Geoffrey's brilliance lay in his ability to weave truth with fiction. He presented Merlin's prophecies as ancient, drawing from his knowledge of past events to write convincingly about the future, while ensuring that prophecies beyond his own time remained deliberately ambiguous, adding to their enigmatic allure. To his contemporaries, Geoffrey's Prophetiae Merlini was seen as the work of a true seer, accurately predicting events up to their time and hinting at the future. Some scholars believe that these prophecies might even have origins in the tales Geoffrey heard growing up. Inspired by the success of Prophetiae Merlini, Geoffrey was far from done. His next project would catapult Merlin into an even grander realm of legend, linking his destiny with a figure as iconic and enigmatic as himself. This next chapter in Merlin's saga, steeped in mystery and heroism, would forever alter the course of legendary storytelling. Geoffrey of Monmouth's next literary endeavor, Historia Regum Britanniae, or History of the Kings of Britain, marks a significant turn in the Merlin saga. Unlike his previous work focused on prophecies, this book claimed to be a historical chronicle of Britain. A key addition to this literature was a little-known monarch named King Arthur. This book was to become the most influential book of the Middle Ages, affecting the course of real history. In the history of the kings of Britain, Merlin appears as a young man during the time of Vortigern, a leader in post-Roman Britain. Here, Geoffrey creatively borrows from Nennius, a 9th century monk who wrote about Ambrosius, a prophetic boy without a father. Geoffrey merges Ambrosius with his own version of Merlin, again merging history with his imagination to make it all the more believable. Vortigern had made the mistake of inviting Saxon mercenaries to Britain to help fight his enemies. But the Saxons didn't just fight. They settled in Britain and eventually turned against the Britons, causing chaos. Seeking refuge from the Saxons, Vortigern fled to the mountains of northwest Wales and attempted to build a fort. But each night, the walls they had built would mysteriously collapse. So he turned to the court magicians to find a solution. The advice of his magicians was grim. They prescribed the sacrifice of a fatherless boy and the sprinkling of his blood over the foundations. Enter Merlin, born in Carmarthen to a nun, herself the daughter of the king of the Welsh kingdom Dyfed. His father, an incubus, a kind of demon, was not present in his life, rendering Merlin effectively fatherless. This unique lineage endowed him with extraordinary powers. When Vortigern's soldiers brought Merlin for the sacrifice, he unveiled his prophetic abilities in a spectacular revelation. Merlin disclosed to Vortigern that the root of the fortress's instability lay in an underground pool housing two formidable dragons, one red symbolizing the Britons and one white representing the Saxons. Upon draining the pool, an epic battle ensued between the two dragons, their fierce combat shaking the very earth and causing the fortress walls to collapse. Merlin's interpretation of this battle was profound. Though the Saxons would initially dominate, he foresaw their eventual defeat by the Britons. Furthermore, he prophesied the emergence of a great leader, hinting at the yet-to-be-born Arthur, and forewarned of the return of the rightful heirs Aurelius and Uther, who would reclaim the kingdom and end Vortigern's life. Merlin's predictions rapidly unfolded into reality. The demise of Vortigern and the ascension of Aurelius to the throne confirmed Merlin's extraordinary capabilities, distinguishing him as much more than an ordinary magician, even in his youth. Following these events, Merlin aided King Aurelius in constructing a significant memorial for British leaders who had fallen at the hands of the Saxons. In an ambitious feat, he journeyed to Ireland to acquire a massive circle of standing stones believed to have been crafted by giants. These stones were then transported to Britain and erected on Salisbury Plain. Geoffrey of Monmouth's account claims this monumental task led to the creation of Stonehenge. Intriguingly, many subsequent tales suggest that these stones were moved through magical means or by Merlin's incredible strength, although Geoffrey's original text does not explicitly state this. Through his melding of fact and fiction, Geoffrey not only solidified Merlin's role as a pivotal figure in the Arthurian legend, but also significantly influenced the narrative landscape of British history. In the history of the kings of Britain, a crucial event unfolds, forever altering the course of Britain's history: the birth of King Arthur. Uther Pendragon, the king of Britain, was captivated by Igraine, the Duchess of Cornwall, and the wife of Gorlois, Duke of Cornwall. Uther's desire was so strong that he sought the assistance of Merlin. Merlin agreed to help. Using his magical abilities, Merlin disguises Uther as Gorlois, enabling a secret union with Igraine at Tintagel Castle. This encounter, shrouded in deception, resulted in Arthur's conception. But after setting these events into motion, Merlin's presence in the history of the kings of Britain abruptly ends. His role in the larger narrative seemingly fulfilled, Geoffrey of Monmouth moves Merlin aside, shifting focus to the unfolding saga of Arthur and his reign. But this wasn't the last we'd hear of Merlin. In his later work Vita Bellini, or The Life of Merlin, Geoffrey of Monmouth delves into a different aspect of Merlin's mythology. This long poem rekindles the northern tales about Myrddin Wyllt, one of the three renowned bards of ancient Britons, alongside Aneurin and Taliesin. In these narratives, Merlin or Myrddin is depicted not just as a mystic seer, but also as a warrior bard deeply traumatized by the horrors of war. According to the Life of Merlin, Merlin fought in a bloody battle in the year 573 AD, an event that profoundly affected him, leading to his retreat into the wilderness. In the solitude of nature, he succumbed to madness, a stark contrast to the wise and composed figure known in earlier tales. This portrayal of Merlin as a figure tormented by the ravages of war adds a layer of human vulnerability and complexity to the legendary character. Geoffrey's blending of these two distinct personas, the prophetic advisor to kings and the wild man of the woods, shows the evolving nature of Merlin's legend. It reflects the different aspects of his character, part historical, part mythological, and always enigmatic. As we journey through the ages, the legend of Merlin takes a grand leap from the rolling hills of Wales to the courts of medieval France. In the 13th and 14th centuries, French romances breathed new life into Merlin's story, enriching it with the flavors of chivalric love and European mystique. Perhaps the most captivating addition to these French romances is Merlin's ill-fated love affair with a young enchantress, often named Nimue or Viviane. This relationship, intertwined with passion and magical learning, ultimately spells Merlin's downfall. As the enchantress learns Merlin's secrets, she uses this knowledge against him, leading to his tragic entrapment. Merlin's end in these tales is as poetic as it is poignant. He finds himself confined in an enchanted space, variously depicted as a cave, a tree, or an invisible tower. This tragic entanglement of love and magic paints a dramatic end to his story. In the Tudor period, the Arthurian legends found a new voice through Sir Thomas Malory in his seminal work, Le Morte d'Arthur. Within these pages, Merlin's story is retold with a renewed focus, solidifying his role as a central figure in the Arthurian tales. This book was also one of the earliest printed books in English with woodblock illustrations that stabilized the image of Merlin as an old wizard with a long beard and a pointed hat. One of the most iconic moments in Malory's retelling is Merlin's role in Arthur's acquisition of Excalibur, the legendary sword. Malory paints a vivid picture of Merlin's wisdom and foresight, orchestrating events that lead to Arthur pulling the sword from the stone, an act that proclaims him the rightful king of Britain. In the contemporary world, Merlin's legacy extends far beyond the ancient tales of Arthurian legend. He has been reinvented and reimagined, echoing through the corridors of modern media and literature. From the wise old man archetype evident in characters like Gandalf in J.R.R. Tolkien's works.
You shall not pass!
And Dumbledore in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, Merlin's influence is unmistakable. The legend of Merlin, from his roots in ancient Welsh folklore to its modern incarnations, represents a journey through time, culture, and the collective human psyche. There are more myths and more legends. Join us as we explore the mysteries of mythology.